One of you asked whether our sleeping schedules usually match up with whatever time zone we're in, and the answer is usually yes, even when we're sailing around.
You see, to change 1 hour of time, you have to travel east or west 15 degrees. And in a plane, that's no big deal. You hop on a plane, you get to your destination, and boom, it's nighttime when it should have been daytime. But in sailing, it's not like that, especially for our cruising catamaran, which doesn't go too far too fast. So when we're sailing, usually what we'll do is we'll get to an island, spend a lot of time there, then take maybe a few hours or a day to the next island, and slowly hop like that. And so by the time we actually cross a time zone, it's usually only 1 hour, and we just see that the time has changed and it's easy to adjust because it's so gradual.
So when we're island hopping, changing times is less like an airplane and more like daylight savings. When you're in the US, sometimes you'll wake up and you feel like you didn't get enough sleep, but the phone says that you got plenty of sleep. So you're getting up and looking around, all the time is normal, but something's off. And then someone who's a little bit more informed about the situation will tell you, hey, daylight savings happened, congratulations. The same thing happens with us, where our phones will just automatically update with the time as soon as it connects to one of the cell towers on an island. So we'll just be like, hang on, an hour just passed. It feels like so long. You feel the same way? Yeah, something's up. And then Papa will just be all like, we changed time zones, congratulations. And we're like, whoa! But that's what happens when you do connect to cell towers. When you don't, it's a little bit more complicated.
There was one time when the change of time zones was super apparent, and that was when we were going from Galapagos to the Marquesas, a distance of 3,000 nautical miles that took us 22 days to complete. During that passage, we switched 3.5 time zones. And you can say, what? A half a time zone? Yeah, the Marquesas are off by 30 minutes, which is really bizarre, but really cool. Anyway, during the passage itself, we obviously were so far from land that we could not connect to any cell towers. Sometimes we would turn on our Starlink to connect to the satellites for Wi-Fi, but that wouldn't change our time zones on our devices. So we did not realize that we were switching time zones until the sunrise and sunset made no sense to what our clocks were saying. For example, I always got the night shift where I would come at around 3 a.m. and wait until the sun rose before going back to sleep again. And the sun would rise around 6, and I loved to see it because it was always gorgeous. But after the zones had switched, I would get on my night shift, everything would be fine, and then it would be 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and it's completely dark. It's like the middle of the night, like no light whatsoever. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I'm tired. I want my shift to end. Where is the sun? The sun needs to rise. Why is it not rising? And then throughout the day, instead of the sun setting at like 6 p.m., it would all of a sudden go till 9 p.m. And it's so light and then it sets. And we were all confused until Papa was like, we changed time zones, woohoo! And so he manually took all of our phones and the navigation instruments and changed the time on them manually.
So my night shift is usually from when Papa goes to bed to whenever I want. On paper, it's 2 a.m., but when it's a passage of 3 days or more, I usually aim for like until sunrise. So
yeah, because she's such a night owl. She literally can stay awake for everything at night. She likes to sleep all day.
I love it. So Papa usually goes to bed at like 8 to 10 between these times. Because the sun is setting late, he starts going to bed later too. And I'm just here like, it's nice having you here, but can I have my night shift already? I really enjoy this time. And then it got even weirder in the morning times because, I challenged myself to get the sunrise. And, at 6, it's great. Like after a few days I can manage that. Then I can manage not just when it's light but when the sun is fully up. But then it starts getting harder when the sun is rising later and later and I'm like 6:30, the sun is okay, sun's up now, all right, good night. 7, there's just the light coming on. You know what, I can do it, I can stay up. Okay, good night. Sun, come on! I'm not losing! Fine, I'm going to bed. Good night, you win this time. And so that's kind of when we realized the time was changing. The sun beat my stubbornness.
So other than the passage to the Marquesas, what we can truly say is that we've adjusted pretty much perfectly to all of the time zones that we were in. I will also add that when you go on a plane, the jet lag is usually much worse to any adjustments that we have when we're sailing, but that is because, again, we are a smaller boat and we like to take our time when traveling. If you're on a cruise ship, it might be a different story.
And the fact that I regularly stay up until 12 a.m. or 2 a.m., it's not a boat thing. It's a me thing. I'm the resident night owl.